Next unit is going to be on looking at philosophies of education. This is our unit right here, philosophy of education. And you'll be doing things like looking at your own philosophy of education here with a survey that you'll take. Here's some background material on some classic educational philosophies. There'll be a quick quiz over some material in the book. And then there'll be a blog assignment right here. What I really want to address right now is the philosophy of education brochure that you're going to be designing that's going to be an expression of what your philosophy of education is. So within this, let me just kind of go through the kind of things I'm going to be looking for in your philosophy of education. And the questions that I have centered this around are these 4 questions. Why do I want to teach? What will I teach? How will I teach? And how will I measure my effectiveness? So under the why you want to teach, now you don't have to address all these, but this is just some ideas to get you thinking. Is it because of experiences you've had? Is it role models? Has someone said you have a real gift for teaching? Or you really feel strongly that you want to pass on history content? What do you believe about kids? And what are the principles that might guide you? So that would be under the section of why you want to teach. Under what will I teach, I'm going to be looking for maybe a passion for content. And beyond that, what other skills might there be that you'll want to teach students? Because you'll want to be able to teach them soft skills like responsibility and team building and collaboration. And or maybe you're going to be looking at the real world application of what your content is and what outcomes you might be expecting. So somewhere within your philosophy of education, I'm going to need to see this addressed of what you will teach. In the section of I'll be looking for how will I teach. I'll be looking, you might be addressing, what kind of learning styles will you want to, how will you want to incorporate learning styles? How will you engage students? How will you use technology? And this is just kind of a big overall section of what does it mean to learn to you? What does it mean to learn? And how will you teach that? And finally, how will I measure my effectiveness? One of the best things that we have learned is that good teachers self-reflect. And so if you constantly have some way to self-reflect, whether it's, maybe you do journaling, maybe you get together for a coffee with colleagues and you collaborate, you are always looking for professional development opportunities, you ask for feedback from others, whether it's your principal or your mentor or just peers, somehow you need to think about how will I know if I'm being effective or not? And I would think part of that would also be looking at how your students are doing, because that is kind of key to being effective is, are my students learning? Some more things that you might add would be, some quotes that you really believe in. You're going to want to make this use appropriate academic language and no spelling errors, grammatical errors, that kind of thing. It should just be kind of an inspiring thing that when someone looks at your brochure, they're going to know who you are and why you want to be a teacher. You can kind of look at the things we've looked at so far with our philosophy of education unit here, our classroom management, learning styles, looking at curriculum. The format needs to be, and I'm going to show you some examples here in just a second, but you need to be using legal images, and I've got some information on that, 10 to 11 point text. I'm going to definitely be looking for some visuals and some pictures, and somewhere between 500 and 800 words are what fits on these brochures, and it should be very visually appealing. So let's see. Something else here is a rubric, and I think this is the rubric right here. This is what I'll be using. Each of the 4 questions that we just had is 15% of your grade of this score. Like, how will I teach? How will I know if I'm effective? 25% is how it looks. Is it attractive? Is it well formatted? Does it make sense? Organization. And then the mechanics as far as capitalization and punctuation, all of that is looking very good. What you might want to do is ask friends to read it to see if they see any errors that you might have missed. That's always a good way to double check things, have someone proofread it for you. Also back here under this section, I have got some examples. Oh, while I'm here, this is where I've got some legal images section where you can look and see where you can go to get legal images, because this might be something that you might eventually send out to somebody. You want to be sure that you're using images that are legal. And I've got several different places like Pixabay, and where you can go and get some good legal images. And finally, here are some examples. These are kind of taken from what students have done in the past. I've taken out what they have written, but just so I wanted you to see the format. This is what you'll be sending me. It will be 2 pages, so that if you did print it out front and back, then you would be able to have a trifold brochure. And then finally, here's a third one. I kind of like this person because he had used some of his own pictures instead of just taking pictures from the internet. So I know that there's a lot here, but I want you to be sure and see if you can, go through all this. There are some deadlines there. I've kind of put your philosophy of education brochure out, 2 or 3 weeks, not until November 3rd. So you've got a little bit of time to reflect. We will be moving on to other things, but this will give you a little bit of time to reflect on that and do that. Please let me know if you have any questions.